Well, good morning. It is Monday, July 5th, and I'm here to offer a few thoughts for your consideration this morning. I'm Karyl Lyne, and I I want to share with you a magical moment that I had about a week and a half ago. Patrick and I live out in the county, and we live in a valley that is on the west and on the east, formulated by two ridges, um, very rather abruptly, steep ridges of rock. And one of those ridges, the one on the east side of our valley, is called El Crestone. And as people move down I-25, um, toward Santa Fe, uh, you come through the El Crestone. It's a very prominent rock formation, and the El Crestone then forms this east ridge. And Patrick and I, our home is located on the east side of the valley, on the El Crestone. And so from where our house is, the valley deepens. It goes a little bit further down. So we live a kind of halfway up a hill. And what that does is provide us a beautiful view every day of the whole valley, which is really great fun because every day it's different. Every day there's something new to see, something different to see. And that view has continually been both an inspiration and a fascination for for me and for Patrick as long as we've lived here, and was actually one of the reasons that we decided to purchase this property, because we have a very, very lovely view of this beautiful green, well, pretty much green, particularly at this time of the year, valley. And across the valley, we can see the homes that are there. And the other ridge, rocky ridge, that's on the west side of the valley. And on the top of that ridge, it's forest. It's treed, and pinon and juniper trees and so on that far side, on that far ridge. Well, the day in question that I'm remembering was a day when it was the sky was dark. And one of the first things I do when I get up in the morning, I have a window that looks out onto the valley from the bathroom near our bedroom. And the first thing I do when I get up is go look out that window because it faces the valley and I can see what the sky looks like. What's it going to be like today? And that morning, the sky was rumbling, it was roiling, it was dark and it was cloudy. And as I stood by the window and watched, it was very evident that a storm was coming down the valley from the north. Now, when we first moved here, our weather came from the west. And so we would always watch for what's coming over the ridge from the west. But as we've lived here these nearly 20 years now, that weather pattern has changed, as have so many weather patterns. And now much of our weather comes instead from the north. Well, that day, the dark clouds were in the north and the wind was blowing, and it was really, whatever was happening was going to happen pretty quickly. So I thought, well, I'm just going to stand here and watch and look out the window and see what happens. And in the very few minutes that I stood by the window and watched, here came this wind that was blowing these dark clouds across the length of the valley from north to south. And it was pushing before it weather, water, rain. And of course, I always say we never turn rain down here. But of course, this year, there's been so much rain that has really left everything green and beautiful, but also muddy. And so here came this storm, very fast moving and moving quickly across the valley from north to south and pushing with it this rain, which was coming down. And there didn't seem to be a lot of lightning, but there was some thunder. So you could hear it. And then, of course, the wind blowing the storm down the valley. Well, as I stood there and watched, interestingly, after this big storm that carried the rain and that carried the thunder with it, after that had passed, and it was probably, a matter of minutes, maybe 3 to 5 minutes, that storm passed through the valley with a vengeance. And then behind that storm, here came this mist, this soft white mist that covered the ridge across the way in such a way that I couldn't see the houses there. I couldn't see this distinctness in what I knew was across the ridge. And I couldn't even tell for sure where the ridge ended and this misty set of clouds began. And then, all of a sudden, out of that mist came the tops of the trees that were on the far ridge. And it was like magic, seeing this beautiful, rather quiet now with the storm gone, this very quiet, gentle mist come in and cover the ground and cover the distinct markings of the homes that were on the ridge on the far side. But here, peeking through that mist, were the tops of the trees. And it was just like magic. I was reminded of Carl Sandburg's description of the fog coming on quiet cat feet. And it was just magnificent. That diversity of violence and rain and wind, and then this beautiful mist. God's world. And I got to see it at work. It was wonderful. So, the magic of what God does in our world is always awe-inspiring to me. And I expect you to. Let's pray. Gracious God, thank you for sharing this magnificent creation of yours with all of us. And if we watch and we wait and we listen and we pay attention, we get to see your magic every day. Thank you. Amen. I hope you have a great rest of the week. And if you have today, Monday, Independence Day, Monday off, have a great time. Bye-bye for now.